I went out and I enlisted witnesses from throughout Montana to come to the Constitutional Convention and lobby for some addition to the Constitution that was acceptable to the American Indians. And therein too, I presumed if I were successful that the delegates to the Constitution would write their version of what I was asking for. And so I never really sat down and wrote out a specific statement or anything like that. My most, I guess, effective witnesses came from the university system. Indians were beginning to enroll in universities, and some of them had Indian clubs, some had Indian studies. And they came to Helena in droves and just were very effective. They met with the Public Education Committee, they met with the Bill of Rights Committee, and they told their stories. And they told it in very vivid terms of what they were looking for. One young man, Dale Kindness, a Crow Indian, addressed the committee in his native language. They were all very nonplussed. They looked and were sort of reeling and saying, well, what's the idea of this? And then Dale made the point that, do you see, if you cannot communicate, if there's no understanding, then it's a serious problem. And I had done a study that showed that 80% of all beginning Crow children starting school were non-English speaking. They spoke Crow. And yet they were put into schools where the instruction was in English. And because they didn't understand, then all kinds of conclusions were drawn. They don't like to learn, they're lazy, or they're dumb. So I think Dale made a very telling point in his testimony. I also found that it was important to involve all the Indian people in what I was trying to do. So there was an organization in Montana, it still exists, called the Montana Intertribal Policy Board. And this is an organization that was the umbrella organization for the leaders from the 7 Indian reservations in Montana. So I began to meet with them regularly and keeping them informed, keeping them apprised of what I was trying to do. And they were wholeheartedly in favor of what I was doing. Now the reason this is important was we do have some Indian leaders who said, we want nothing to do with the state, we don't want to get involved with the state, we don't like the state, they don't like us, and our business is with the federal government. But in this case, they realized that, face it, 95%, maybe higher, of our children were in public schools. So the Intertribal Policy Board began to follow my lead, I guess, and wrote resolutions to which we presented. And then one day, their acting chairman, a dear old friend of mine, Carson Boyd, very impressive member of the Sioux tribe from the Fort Peck Indian Reservation, came to testify. And he said, Earl, where's the bathroom? Well, I understood what he wanted, so I took him to the bathroom. He went in and proceeded to open a suitcase and put on his full Indian regalia, his buckskins. And with it he had his eagle headdress, his eagle war bonnet, and he was resplendent in this garb. He went into the committee, and I tell you, I have never witnessed such rapt attention. And Mr. Boyd began to speak. And one of the things he told them was, we are your children, and you are like a father. A father is responsible for his children, as you should be to our children in these schools. He also said, and don't forget our heritage. He said, our heritage is the same as the grass and the trees. And I felt again he made a most telling argument as to what the Indian people are all about. He didn't spell it out in point 1, 2, 3, but he had this powerful message. And I was always indebted to Mr. Boyd for taking the time to come to Helena and to do this.